So now we're going to take a look at some rover play. Very important position to bear front that rover. He's the adjuster. He's a box player. Okay, a lot of times he's going to be tied to the sniffer. Okay, when you see these spread offenses, so we wanted to make sure we detail some of that stuff. What's going to happen here? You have a 2x2 set by Duke. You have motion. Virginia Tech is actually moving to its bear package or jolting, okay, to bear. So that's the player's going to wind up being a 3 technique. There's a boundary backer. He's going to walk up, be a 5. Here's a rover coming down, being an extra hat. So now what's going to happen is, okay, you have 7 players at the point of attack. Okay, what Duke was doing is it was bringing that player to become a sniffer. Okay, and what happens is with that rover, he is tied to the sniffer. Okay, so essentially he starts as number 2. That's the nickel on number 2 to the field. That's the corner on number 1. That's the corner on number 1. The rover is tied to number 2. So once he gets back into that sniffer alignment, you see the rover here be the adjuster and just mirror that sniffer. And they just run a zone scheme. Here's the rover. We'll see it from the end zone shot. He's going to be an extra fitter here. And that's what Virginia Tech was doing against teams like Ohio State and Duke and Boston College, who would play with that sniffer. And you see here's the rover, number 34. Okay, no one to block him. So you see, I mean, choice has to be made with that sniffer to block either the rover or the defensive end. Chooses to block the rover, defensive end makes the play. Same principle, starting in 2x2, ended up with a sniffer. You're going to see the rover now come down and match it. Comes down a little late, but you can see, I mean, it's a great fill by this rover. Okay, so here he comes. He's coming down to fill. He's going to take this player and make the tackle. He's the extra hitter. It's tough to account for him. Again, it's for the most part cover 0 based on game plan or what Virginia Tech calls cover 6. Okay, but if you're going to decide to give the ball, you're going to have one extra defender with the deep safety. The quarterback's not a viable run threat. Okay, so right now that rover's right in the alley here in the B gap. He's able to fill and make the tackle. Sniffer set again. Rover walks down. Now Coach Foster decided to actually disguise it a little bit. That's up to you what you want to do with that. But this is a good clip for you because this shows how the rover is going to mirror the sniffer. So watch the sniffer come across. Looks like it might be some split zone action here, which it is. He's looking to seal the C gap. This defensive end's a box player. The rover is going to match him, so he would fit inside and be the wind back player. Okay, so the ball winds back and it's winding back into the rover. There he is here. His eyes are on the sniffer. I mean, he's wired to him. He's tied to him. Okay, so there comes that sniffer. All right, decision has to be made whether or not they're going to decide to block defensive end or the rover. Okay, can't block either of them here. It's a good play by Virginia Tech. Two back here. Here's the rover. He's walking down, tied to the sniffer. Split zone action again. We're going to see the wrong fit here in a second. Okay, so right now you're getting zone action. Rover is mirroring the sniffer. Okay, he can't be too wide right now. He's got to plant. He's right there to make the tackle. He's got to shuffle his feet, square up, and get a body on a body. He does not do that here, and he misses the tackle. But you see, you're getting +1. Because not only do you have the rover, you have a cheat safety if you decide to do it that way. I'll back it up for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Depends on what coverage, whether it's cover 6, which is cover 0, or cover 6F with a true free safety. Okay, but in this situation, you know, Virginia Tech is playing a different type of coverage to the field. But this player is free to make the tackle, as is the nickel. So you're going to have +1. Okay, you have the nickel and you have the rover. Somebody's got to make that play. It's a big bust in the secondary for Virginia Tech. It's Wake Forest. Okay, Rover's going to walk down. They're playing a little bit of a cheat post player. Here's a free safety. There's a rover. He's going to be tied to the back. You got a trip set. Basically unblockable. You got a three-man surface right now, so you're going to have that defensive end, the loose 9 technique, which means this rover has got to play the C-gap. He's a wind back player. Decision has to be made. Tight end decides to block the C-gap player. That defensive end is going to be free. And depending on what you want to do with that free safety, he could be tied to the run game as well. If he's seeing a run action, he could fill and be an extra fitter. But you see this player does not block him. Good tackle there. Give you some cut-ups of the rover play and the bear package.